Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm Todd Banner. Before I get to the point of this video, I got kind of an update about my photojournalism and the newspaper group that I am a freelancer for. So last week we were actually acquired by another nonprofit newspaper group. So this is really kind of interesting. So it's an organization called Newswell. It's actually affiliated with Arizona State University and has several papers out in that area, mostly in California. There might be one or a couple in Arizona, but you know, it's very tough for any kind of news organization, smaller news organization, I should say, today with the way things are going. So apparently Growing Community Media, which is the organization that I work for, had been looking for this sort of an opportunity for quite some time to just make it possible for us to keep on doing what we're doing. And this is a much larger organization with, I'm assuming, deeper pockets, so that's a good thing. So that's in process of being finalized, and that'll probably be within a month or so we will be part of Newswell. And so I'll put a link to Newswell down in the description if you're curious about that. But it's a good thing. It means I get to keep working. Yay. But what I wanted to talk about today is using the S5 Mark II, the Lumix S5 Mark II with the 20 to 200 millimeter Sigma lens for sports, of all things. So most of what I do for Growing Community Media is hard news and then community events and things like that, portraits of business owners, because we frequently do profiles of local business owners. So, you know, all of that, but I don't do any sports. In fact, I think I did, I'm pretty sure I did a video about this back when I had the original G9. I did it was like a charity basketball event, which actually worked out not bad with the G9, and using the 35 to 100 f2.8 and the 12 to 35 f2.8 lens for that. Got usable results. But last week I got an email from our sports reporter, and I've never done any work with him before. And he said, hey, there's state sectionals for boys swimming at East Leyden High School, which, if you're familiar with Chicago, you probably understand where that is. And that high school has a practically brand new aquatic center. It's just beautiful. And he says, hey, both of my freelance guys are not available to do this. Could you fill in? And I responded, I said, yeah, I want to tell you, it's not my regular thing. I may not have the optimal equipment for that. If you maybe tell me a little bit about what your guys do, what they're using as far as lenses and so on. And he was like, oh, that sounds fair. And he got back to me and he says, well, my main guy uses he has a 70 to 200, and then he also has a 300 millimeter lens. And I said, well, I've got this outfit, and I have this 20 to 200 millimeter lens. It's pretty good, not fast. Actually, I looked at photos of this aquatic center, and it looked like it was going to be bright enough for the lens speed not to be an issue. So I responded, I said, you know, I can do that, and also I can set my camera, because I have the S5 Mark II, which will do the hybrid zoom thing now. So I can set that to zoom to about 300. It is a crop, and the crop reduces the file size to around 12 megapixels. But for print, newspaper print, which we still do, and for online use, that's going to be fine. And so he says, oh yeah, that sounds fine. So I went and I did this assignment, and it worked out really pretty well. I will link to the story down in the description. But essentially, you know, ISO-wise, I was up above 6400, and some photos are 25,600. But as I've said before, this is really not an issue with the S5 Mark II. I would assume with the new S1 II models, maybe it's even less of an issue. But just using the denoise in the Lightroom details panel, and it had a little bit of noise that was creeping in, it got rid of it completely. So, you know, and I shot like 600 images. Turns out they only really need around 12, but that's okay. Shooting, swimming, not the easiest thing I've ever done. And actually, when it's a freestyle event, that's tough because you've got to really be good at timing when they're coming up for a breath. Now, I could have used the super high with pre-burst for that. I didn't. I just used mechanical shutter high because I'll tell you what, when you do super high with pre-burst, you end up with a ton of images you just got to dump. So as I went along, I got better at timing because they're coming up about every third or fourth stroke for a breath. So I got better at timing it and got some that were pretty good. The other thing is having a splash-proof camera, turns out, good thing. I got wet. So that was interesting. But, I sent in 11 images, and the sports reporter responded right away and said, hey, these are great. Hat tip to you. So it worked out really well. So check the link in the description for the story. The images are there. If you scroll down to the image at the bottom of the story with the swimmers diving in, that's a slideshow. It's a little hard to tell, but there's forwards and back arrows on each side of the frame, so you can scroll through those. And yeah, I wouldn't hesitate to do this again. If I be honest with you, I mean, if I was going to be doing it a lot, maybe I'd invest in an f2.8 zoom, or maybe I'd just take my G9 Mark II and use other f2.8 zooms. That would lower the ISO I was using down probably into the usable range for the G9 Mark II, so probably wouldn't be that big of an issue. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised at the results that I got out of the camera and out of the Sigma 20 to 200. So if that's something that comes along for you, I wouldn't hesitate to go ahead and do it. And I would imagine probably there are folks using the S5 Mark II for high school sports fairly frequently. So feel free to leave a comment down below if you're doing that. I'm sure people would like to hear about that. Anyway, questions, comments, leave them down below. If this was useful to you, pop that thumbs up button. Helps me. And also, if you want to make a contribution to growing community media, there is a link down in the description. That will change to a link to Newswell as soon as this all gets finalized. And of course, also you can buy me a coffee if you thought this was really, really interesting. I'm Todd Banner. I will see you in the next video.